Happy Friday, everybody. This is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP on Friday the 17th of November. Before I get into it, if you haven't subscribed already, I recommend doing so that you don't lose my YouTube channel, because I update these three markets every day, Monday to Friday. If you are subscribed, thank you very much for your support. Hit the like button and make a comment, because all of your engagement helps my YouTube channel grow. Bitcoin is moving sideways with a small range inside day today, but now we have a pivot on price at the high for the 15th of November between price, and we have little pivots for RSI and money flow. So now I'm going to identify that there is double bearish divergence between price and both of money flow and RSI. And we'll look at the context of that when I get down to those indicators. I've changed resistance from 37,700 to 37,800. Seems to be a little bit more accurate for where price is currently finding resistance, and it's finding support still about 35,000. With now double bearish divergence, the probability of a sharper, deeper pullback has increased. The moving average situation is full bore bullish now. The short term is above the mid term, which is above the long term, and prices, well, almost above all three. When moving averages have this full bore bullish look, the probability of good things happening for the longer term is higher than bad things happening. And the last signal given was the 50-day crossing over the 200, so we have a golden cross here, which negated the death cross which previously happened at the last low. If we see a break below support at 35,000 with price closing below that level, and it doesn't have to have push from volume, but if we saw that, that would be increasingly bearish. If we see a break below this support, then there's a bit of white space for a free fall to next support to about 31,000. I do expect it's most likely now we're going to see a sharp pullback which may find final support about 29,000, and that pullback may be required now to relieve extreme conditions. Yesterday's completed session had reasonable volume, slightly weaker than the session before. For the upward trend, ADX reached very extreme, above 65, close to 70. That was danger territory for this market at the daily time frame. When it gets to this level and we have overbought conditions and bearish divergence, then we should be expecting, it's very likely that a sharper, deeper pullback is likely to unfold. So that's what I'll be expecting now. And now there's double bearish divergence between price and RSI after RSI reached deeply overbought. Also double bearish divergence between price and money flow after money flow just touched into overbought. So given these extreme conditions, yes, I will be expecting a sharp pullback as more likely than not. Now, it doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen. This is an exercise in probability. My judgment is at this point in time, it is probably about 60-70% likely that we're going to see a sharp pullback lasting at least a couple of weeks, if not maybe 3 or 4 weeks for Bitcoin at this time, and I'm looking for support about 29,000. The Elliott Wave count for Ethereum remains the same. I am adding a little bit of extending the detail here. I'm adding some detail for Minuet C. It needs to subdivide as a 5-wave motive structure. That'll be labelled subminuet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For Ethereum, I'm seeing a third wave up at multiple degrees, minor, intermediate, primary and cycle. This is an extremely bullish wave count, but price doesn't always move in a straight line. When it has parabolic growth, it will move in a straight line, and it can do that for a couple of weeks or so, but pretty commonly there will be pullbacks and consolidations along the way, and I expect a pullback, which I'll label a second wave correction, is underway. 5-step up pattern here is labelled minute 1, 3-step back pattern here is labelled minute 2. Minute 2 looks likely to be subdividing as a single zigzag, A, B, C. I may need to relabel this, however, as a double zigzag. There are multiple structural options for corrections, and in a second wave position it can subdivide as any Elliott wave corrective structure except a triangle. So it's most likely to be a single zigzag, but the next most likely structure is a double zigzag, and they're actually pretty common in a second wave position. So when a correction is unfolding in terms of Elliott Wave, you need to be open-minded and flexible and relabel the structure or use alternate wave counts as the structure unfolds. I'm being a little bit lazy because mostly this analysis is for my own investing purposes, not really, I'm just sharing it with you guys. I don't need to label a double zigzag because I can see it on this chart because I've been doing this for such a long time. So I'm just going to be open-minded and flexible to relabel this for you. If it's a double, I'd be labeling A, B, C, X, and then I have ABC. So the subdivisions are pretty much going to be the same anyway. The addition also to this chart today is I'm going to identify a normal range where I expect minute wave 2 to likely end in. I'm going to bring the upper edge of the normal range up to 70%. Now normally I'd look for an 80 to 90% correction, but the wave position we're looking at now is a minute degree second wave within a third wave at minor, intermediate, primary and cycle, so 4 large degrees. The strong upward pull of a really big third wave at those large degrees may now force this little second wave correction to be a little bit more shallow than they commonly are. Corrections for cryptocurrencies are commonly extremely deep, commonly in the 80 to 90, even 90+% range, even up to 98%. They are massive, massive corrections. But now I expect we might be looking for something a little bit more shallow. So that gives us an expected range from 1706 to 1583. This correction, if it ends within that range, would be absolutely normal to be expected behaviour for this market. I'm also going to be using these 2 trend lines as ideas for where support may ultimately be found. I showed you this trend line on the weekly chart yesterday. I've created a parallel copy and pulled it down here. If minute 2 is very deep, I'll look for final support at this trend line. Minute 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 below 1521.78. Ethereum is moving lower toward next support at 1880. If it closes below that support, look for next support at 1800, and below that probably quite strong and where it may finally end 1716. Yesterday completed a downward session with push from volume. That gives us a strong indication that it's likely that price is going to keep falling, at least for the short term here. This pullback is coming in the context of the upward trend reaching very extreme, just entering danger territory for this market. ADX is now declining, telling us there is no longer a clear trend for this market. It comes in the context of RSI reaching very deeply overbought but not exhibiting bearish divergence and now being pulled back into neutral, and money flow is still in neutral territory. There is some bearish divergence here, but I really would prefer to only note divergence when the peaks are quite close together. I find that's more reliable. So given this context, it would be normal in these situations to expect a deeper, sharper pullback to relieve these extreme conditions. I'll be looking for the pullback to bring ADX back down below the extreme level of 45 and possibly below both DX lines. If it can do that, then it will set itself up for a strong signal. For XRP, I'm going to add a little bit of detail to the wave count for minor wave 2. For XRP, from this low to this high, I see a 5-step forward pattern. I will label that minor 1. Now looking for a 3-step back pattern to complete for minor wave 2. The larger picture for XRP sees a wave count with a third wave at 1, 2, 3, 4 large degrees, minor, intermediate, within primary, within cycle. You can see that at higher time frames. Minor wave 2 is a second wave correction within a very large third wave up, which is expected to continue for at least another few years. Minor wave 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 below 0.4456. I'm adding some detail to minor 2 today. It looks like an expanded flat. They subdivide 3, 3, 5. The B wave of the flat has moved beyond the start of wave A. It's over 105% the length of A. The C wave is expected to move substantially below A. It already has done that, but it needs to complete as a 5-wave motive structure. So far it has 1, 2, 3, probably not over, and then we'll need 4, a tiny little bounce to unfold over a day or so, may not move into wave 1 price territory above 0.5976, and then the final 5th wave down to move below wherever 3 ends up to avoid a truncation. Truncations are uncommon for this market. I've never seen XRP do one, so I'm not going to expect this is going to be the first time. My target is probably not low enough. 0.5824 is where C would reach 1.618 the length of A, but that is not a normal range for minor wave 2. I'm going to expect minor 2 to probably be a bit deeper, and I think the 53 to 55 cent level is probably most likely. When we get to the technical chart, you'll see why I think 55 is also likely. At 53 cents, minor 2 would be a 70% correction of 1, and at 47 cents, it would be a 90% correction of 1. It is normal to be expected behavior for these pullbacks to be that deep. Look at past behavior of these markets. Don't expect them to suddenly behave differently. At the daily time frame, I see really strong support in the 54 to 55 cent range, so I think that's probably where this is going to end. weekend. Price is now closed below support at 62 cents and this current session is continuing lower, so let's expect price to continue to fall toward 54 to 55 cents. There's very strong support in that area. Yesterday's downward session completes with stronger volume than the previous green candlestick, but overall volume is falling. Doesn't mean it has to end here, and I will expect more downward movement because it hasn't yet been enough to relieve these very extreme conditions. ADX for XRP reached just toward danger territory. It can get more extreme than this, but it was above 55. It's now declining, indicating no clear trend. I will expect this pullback to continue until ADX is pulled down below 45 and possibly even below both DX lines if it's long lasting enough. RSI reaching overbought. It's now nicely back in neutral territory. Money flow also reached fairly deeply overbought. It's back in neutral territory. That's it from me with your last analysis of the week. I won't be giving you analysis on the weekend because, well, I have to stay mentally sane. So I have to have weekends off, not working and not looking at my charts. Oh, I do actually look at charts, but I'm not going to do any work. That's it from me, and I fly from Panama City to Texas on Sunday. I'll be in Texas for a while for family Thanksgiving and Christmas, so that's exciting. And I hope everyone is looking forward to an awesome weekend.